everyone. We're doing a panel today that's called Innovative Measures in the Justice System. I have with me today Barrister Haya Iman Zahid, who's a legal empowerment professional who's been working in the field for 14 years. She's the secretary to the Provincial Government Committee on that provides legal assistance across 22 prisons in Pakistan. She's also been part of several federal initiatives that have pioneered prison reform, and she also works as the Chief Executive Officer of the Legal Aid Society, which is a province-wide organization that works on various forms of legal reform and social justice interventions in particularly in Sindh, but also their work extends to all of Pakistan in quite a few initiatives. She'll be talking today about her work with the prison system in Pakistan. The second guest I have with me here today is Professor Angbin Mirza. She is the director of the inclusion program at the LUMS Law School, and she has pioneered legal clinics and legal aid education at the LUMS Law School. She's overseeing the street law clinic at the moment. Her interests are particularly in legal clinic education, in live law clients, in labor law and property law and various others. So we're going to begin our conversation today with some basic overview of the work they're doing, and we're going to try and talk to them about what their experiences have been, why they've chosen to do the work they've been doing, and what we can hope the future of this work will look like. So the first thing that I'd like to ask both of you, and if you could both please answer in turn, is what were the objectives of your respective initiatives, and where did your ideas come from? I'm sorry I haven't bothered to introduce myself. My name is Palvisha Shahab, and I'm also a social justice lawyer. I'm going to ask Haya to please answer first. Would you like me to repeat the question? Okay, super. So if you could please give us an overview of the initiative and where the idea stemmed from, where it began.
Thank you so much, Palvisha, and it's an absolute pleasure to get this opportunity to speak on a WOW panel. Since most of my work has been in the context of prisons in Pakistan, I just want to share a little bit about the dynamics of prisons in Pakistan by sharing some socio-demographics. In the province of Sindh, where I've been working in prisons for the last 10 years, on average, we've seen a prison population that fluctuates between 18,000 to 20,000 prisoners. 70% of these prisoners are under trial, so they are yet to be convicted, which means that they're still navigating complex justice problems and are trying to figure out what's happening next in their trials, as each hearing proceeds. Now, if we delve in a little closer to who we find behind bars, we did a profiling of about 2,000 prisoners 5-6 years ago. And out of 2,000 prisoners, we found out that 77% required legal aid, which meant that they were increasingly from poor backgrounds. A majority of them were earning less than £100 a month, less than 10,000 rupees a month. So multiple mouths to feed, immense economic pressures, and there was a correlation between a lack of literacy and knowledge of the law and legal systems. So I've been associated with a legal aid program that is government funded. It's funded by the Sindh government for the last 17 years. And so time and again, we're providing free lawyers, free legal representation, but no matter how many more lawyers we add on to the panel, no matter how much more budget we ask for and end up getting, the need for legal information awareness will far exceed what programs such as ours or the not-for-profits or even legal aid committees of bar associations can provide. So I think the crux really of the initiative that I'd like to talk about here today has been, let's look at low-cost solutions, forward-looking and long-term sustainable measures that can assist this huge strata in prisons that suffer from legal illiteracy, so to say, and don't know any better in terms of what the solutions for their everyday justice problems are. So, thinking of something innovative and dynamic, really in this context, what can be sustainable, what will be low cost, and what can then sometimes proceed without this heavy dependency on, lawyers in black coats, so to say. So that's a little bit about the objective. We wanted a solution to legal illiteracy that would be sustainable. We wanted to make prisoners come to the fore in the fight for their own rights, so that they would become champions of their own struggles, and really what can we do to enhance their own agency for legal empowerment.
So you've been developing a system for them to champion their own fights by creating a paralegal program, as I understand it. I would love to hear more about that in the next round of questions. Angbin, if you could please go over your initiative. It's a very interesting street law clinic that you're overseeing. Could you please talk about how that came about?
So thank you, Palvisha. I'm happy to be here and talking. I love talking about street law, so I'm really excited to be here for that reason as well. So street law was an idea that came to us, interestingly, when I was also one of the legal aid lawyers working at the legal aid office, God knows, 10 years ago. And the idea was, street law is a form of clinical legal education. And clinical legal education is literally what it means. What it says, it is that your law students get hands-on experience of doing real work, the things that lawyers would actually do. Street law is a form of a clinic which has been going on around the world, especially in South Africa and in American universities since the 70s and before. And what street law is that you go to an audience on the street and you help them gain legal literacy. So it ties in very well with what Haya is talking about in terms of the paralegal program. So at LUMS, we try to push for a street law clinic because as social justice lawyers, the idea is always to somehow benefit those who need that social justice assistance in whatever way that we can. And students are a great resource for that because it's a win-win for students to get exposure, to be talking to real people with real problems about real law, is something that they don't always get in their black letter law courses. You can study a lot of labor law, and when you go to a client and they have a real question, you might be stumped. So what street law does is that it puts students, well, they obviously do a lot of preparation, but it also puts them in front of real people with real questions. On the flip side, it's a legal literacy program. So for the street law clinic at LUMS, our audience is school students. They're high school students. They're between ages 12 and 15. And the audience that we pick is usually from a lower socioeconomic background. So these are students, like Haya said, these are the people who are predominantly going to end up they're going to end up potentially in the criminal justice system. And so it is doubly important for them to be aware of their rights, of how to navigate their rights, how to navigate the criminal justice system more than anything else, and in the end, how to become more responsible citizens. So that's kind of the initiative behind street law, to benefit not only the students, but also hopefully also the communities.
Thank you, Angbin. So Haya, if you could now sort of tell us what it is that you're doing with the prisons, and what does that mean in terms of action? Like, if you could please go over what you're doing, how you're doing it. Thank you.
So in essence, we follow the legal empowerment framework for this justice solution or this justice idea, and it's unique in some ways, but it's as Angbin mentioned, it's been done in many African countries and in many other developed nations. Of course, it's somewhat a part of clinical legal education, more developed jurisdictions as well. The legal empowerment framework under which we have designed this intervention primarily says that we must help people know what the law is so that they can utilize it, and so that eventually policy making can then be shaped on the basis of the needs of justice seekers, in our case, the prisoners. So what in essence is a prison paralegal in our context? We've seen this example in Sierra Leone and in prisons in other African countries from where we drew a lot of our inspiration initially. But over there, you had a prison strata that was being assisted by members of the community that would, once a week or once a month come in and help them and conduct legal clinics and provide them with advice and assistance, etc. So we were already doing that. We have a bunch of lawyers on a roster that are accessing prisons on a weekly basis to screen out those that are in need of legal aid. So we were already doing that, of course. What we did is we went in and we identified a unique strata of convicts. So those that are serving sentences, we identified people that were motivated, that were enthusiastic, number one, and there's this general existing sense of empathy already because it's your struggle as well. You're sleeping in the same barracks with your fellow prisoners, so you understand the frustration that sometimes lawyers on the outside don't. They don't understand the impact of that additional adjournment, So they're already motivated, and we were able to screen out people who had a basic level of literacy. So there was a requirement to be able to read and write Urdu or Sindhi, and a bonus if you were well versed in English, of course, because most of our laws are drafted in English. And also we made this very clear to the prisoners that there will be no financial incentive. You're not going to get paid for conducting these information sessions with people that are just entering the prison system. So really figuring out with them the people that were in it just for that kind of gratification, just because of doing, someone else a good deed and helping others in their struggle. We were working with this unique strata, and our teams go in and we conduct about 20 hours of rigorous training with them. So I just want to emphasize that a prison paralegal does not have a law degree, is not a legal practitioner, but they're well versed and they have a good grasp over substantive areas of law, which includes criminal procedure, your fundamental rights, some civil areas like rights to property or inheritance, etc. Things that you may want to understand before you go back out into prison, into the community. So we give them about 20 hours of training, and then our lawyers kind of handhold them. They conduct 1 or 2 informational sessions in special paralegal rooms inside the prisons, and our lawyers are present to make sure that there's a quality check, etc. But they're also creating unique referral pathways. So when there is somebody who is in dire need of a lawyer to appear before a court at their next hearing, they're able to also take down their details and pass that on as a paralegal would to a lawyer as well. And what we've seen is that we have great assistance in terms of data collection. Our paralegals have been able to assist numerous prisoners get a hold of their national identity cards through mobile Nadra camps, because you can't expect the prison staff right now. They have 2,000 vacancies to be spending time collecting data. Unfortunately, that's now not how it works in our context. So our paralegals were at the fore, interviewing, screening prisoners, filling forms, creating bridges between so many other administrative forums as well. Yeah.
Thank you, Haya. This truly is incredibly inspiring work. Angbin, if you could also please tell us about the work that your legal aid clinics are doing and how they're doing it, that'd be amazing. Thank you.
So like I said, our clinics are set in schools, in lower income kind of trust schools and low income schools. So what we do is at the beginning of the year, our students who are going to be kind of well, not paralegals, of course, but they're going to be the instructors for the class that they're going to be taking in that school. They go and visit the school, they visit their students, and together with their students, they get a sense of what are the topics or what are the areas of life/law that they would be interested to know more about. Then we regroup as a class on campus, and every week we prepare lessons and we demo them for each other, right? So the idea in street law is we never teach them anything. We don't lecture. We can't do that. It's against the basic philosophy. The idea of street law is to get students and your audience involved in activities to make them realize things that they intrinsically already know. So for instance, we have our set curriculum, because the idea for us is to create a more responsible and aware, informed citizen. We have some basics that we cover with everybody. So we'll start out with, what is a state? What is separation of powers? What does a legislature do? How do elections work? What does a judiciary do? And we do this by putting them in the shoes of these institutions, right? So they will pass a bill as a class. They will prepare election speeches. They will do those election speeches, and then they'll vote people. And so they'll come to understand how these things work. Because we all as citizens, we watch TV, we think we know a lot about these things, but actually we don't know how these things work. And it's important for citizens to know. Because these students who are now 13, 14, 15 years old, they will be voting soon. And so this is the time where they need to form opinions, and they need to form informed opinions. Then our classes will move on to talk about, what do you do if you're arrested? How does a trial work? What is a nikah nama? What are the areas of a nikah nama that you can negotiate and you should negotiate? What is a labor contract? So these are things that are important for citizens to know. In addition to these basic topics, we add the topics that students want. So sometimes schools have asked us to speak about drugs, to speak about traffic laws, to speak about the environment, which we do anyway. So basically, together they come up with a kind of a curriculum, and then we kind of quality check it on campus to make sure that we're not lecturing, that activities are interesting, they're snappy, and they're covering kind of levels of engagement. So it's not just people sitting there and kind of learning things, it's students getting involved in analyzing and really getting into the activities that we bring to them. And every year we do it, students are always blown away by how excited their students are. Because it's unfortunate, but the sad reality is that our classes are not always so engaging and interesting. So students really come to look forward to the class whether these LUMS students are going to come and talk to them. And by the end of the year, we really see a difference in how those students start engaging themselves. So initially, obviously, they're a bit kind of hesitant. They don't want to speak up. They don't want to share their thoughts. They're also shy with each other, especially in our co-educational schools. But by the end of the year, it's a real cohort, and it's a much more informed cohort, we hope. So that's how our system works.
Thank you. That sounds truly incredible. Haya, if you could please now talk about what kind of successes, what kind of outcomes, what kind of positive outcomes you've experienced over the years with the prison paralegal program, but also, I mean, generally with your work with prisons.
Well, I think in the central prison in Karachi, where we started off with training 20 convicts as paralegals, we're down to now 5 trained. So the others have completed their sentences and have gone back out into society. And every now and then, 1 or 2 will visit us at the office, and I'm blown away to see them in completely new attire, completely new get-up, so to say. And maybe they found jobs, maybe they haven't, but I'm blown away just seeing them getting a better start at life, because I'm totally convinced that from the program and the interactions that they've had, they're coming out with better leadership skills. I hope this doesn't sound too cliched, but you work so much on presentation skills, how to speak to people, how to communicate. So we have examples of a few of them landing clerical jobs here and there. And I know that they're going to blossom into these huge community leaders in their own ecosystems, and they're going to be looked upon in high regard by their neighbors, and they're going to become the go-to people that have all this knowledge, not just about criminal matters, but about basic civil issues, how to draft a rent agreement, or I need to renew my NIC card, everyday common legal problems. So on an individual level, I've seen the multiplier of such paralegals helping others in the prisons, but also passing on now that information to others in their communities. On a more structured policy level, I think that a lot of the paralegals got together and were able to get remissions, which is a reduction in their sentences. So we were able to get these administrative wins. We were able to convince the Sindh Prison Department that you need to recognize and motivate such paralegals further. So for every 6 months of being a paralegal, an active paralegal in prisons, you get 15 days chopped off your sentence. And I think that's huge. We've been able to run 2 successive rounds of remissions. And that was a scheme that, we worked to tweak. We worked to make amendments on that. And the last point I want to make is that most of Pakistan has been plundered, sort of shackled up with the colonial remains of the 1894 Prison Act, so to say. And Sindh has been the first province to enact completely new legislation in 2019. We've redone the rules in 2020 as well. And a lot of the insights, a lot of the chapters and rules on reform and prisoners' care were premised upon data that the prison paralegals actually collected and provided us insight with. I was a part of the drafting committee, so that's a clear-cut example of their narratives, their experiences, their data collection as enumerators at the grassroots level being directly plugged in to make policy making more data-driven and more effective. So those are just a few examples off the top of my head. Yeah.
Thank you, Hannah. That truly is incredibly hopeful. Angbin, if you could also talk about what tangible positive outcomes, what attitudinal changes you've experienced and seen in these law clinics.
Thanks. If I just like to say, every time Haya talks about this, I get so excited. It's just so exciting. It makes me so happy to see the things that actually, happening. When you work so hard and you see things change, it makes it all worth the struggle. But anyway, thank you for saying that, we're looking for also attitudinal changes, because obviously our outcomes, the things we see aren't kind of tangible so much. So like I said, our target audience is the community, but it's also our lawyers, because when our law students graduate, 90% of the time they end up in a law firm doing a very corporate commercial job. And part of the reason we do these clinics is that we want to get them into this, to expose them to this side of law, before we lose them to the corporate world. And I think, so we've had, obviously we do very small cohorts, there's 7 or 8 students who are doing street law at a time, because obviously there's quality control, we need to know what they're doing. But I'm happy to say that a lot of them continue to be very interested in engaging. And they always say that, when we start our firm jobs, we still want to go and do this in the weekend. And it's impossible, but that spark is still there. And it comes into their language, and we're still in touch. And even when we want to call on them to come back and help us, they're always available. So that kind of, it's like a little, what do you call it? It's like a little seed, right? And it stays with them. And I mean, internationally speaking, I know a lot of people who got involved in street law programs, and they shifted their futures to kind of become educators in the area of law rather than going into practice. And I feel like one of our students is also now kind of thinking going into education rather than going into the practice of law. So I'm not calling it a win, but it's interesting to see that it really changes perspective. On the community side, what we see every year is students learning how to speak for themselves. So it's not that, it's partly it is because of what the material that they're engaging with, right? It's grown up, it's law. And by the end of the year, or even through the year, they start realizing how intrinsically the law affects every aspect of our life, which is not something that a 14-year-old necessarily realizes. And I mean, they all have opinions. They all have a lot of opinions in the army. They have a lot of opinions in General Musharraf. Like, these kids, they surprise you with how informed they are. They'll tell you what the environment is and how you recycle, and they'll know a lot of things. But by the end of the year, they'll start to kind of explain those things better, which we think is a win, because that means you have students who were thinking, but they are thinking more logically and more I don't want to say rationally, of course, but they're thinking in a way which they can express better, which is really a big part of what we're aiming to do. We're aiming to create citizens who can stand up for themselves. And I mean, I don't think any of them have gone on to vote yet, but I'm hoping that when the time comes, they will be able to speak for themselves, and also maybe convince their families to just think before they take actions. And even during the year, they do go back and they speak to their family, and then they come back with their reports and say, we told our family this, and they do like little things like, 2 girl students will sit down and we'll give them a nikah nama, and we're like, one of you was a boy, one of you was a girl, and now you have to negotiate it. And you're surprised by the conditions that they put in. You will take me on a trip once every year as a condition in our nikah. And I mean, most of these students would not have bothered to look at their nikah nama if they had not been through these classes. So hopefully it's an attitudinal shift that we're hoping to create, which will hopefully go a long way.
So thank you so much for this, and it's so incredible to see that you're making the system legible to these students and vice versa. If you guys could both in turn please talk about how you think these initiatives are feeding into long-term legal reform or into reforming the larger legal system, considering particularly that we live in a country where the justice system not only suffers massive backlog, but also is inaccessible to a large majority of its citizens. whether it is physically or because of lack of documentation or whatever the case may be. So if you guys could please link back these initiatives to the larger justice system problems, I'd be very grateful.
I think I've mentioned this already in the beginning. I think one of the biggest issues is that there is a big gap between the demand and the supply. The demand for equal and fair access to justice and service providers, and the demand will continue to far exceed that. And it's a resource issue. It's neglected, and instead of just sort of continuously blaming broken systems, what the program that I've shared over here today seeks to do is it looks at internal, cost-effective, sustainable solutions. But at the same time, it also works on enhancing, the agency of one of the most underprivileged sort of segments in our society. No one speaks of them. No one thinks of them. The prison context is something which is not transparent. Besides one or two high-profile cases, when does it ever get any mention? Just ordinary, everyday, petty offenses, and those that find themselves locked up behind bars for years because of small matters. So they're not in the limelight at all. So I think that the innovation for this long-standing problem is to look at existing resources and come up with workable solutions, and also bring justice seekers to the fore instead of them always being hapless or just sort of overly dependent on others. It's to create ripples and levels of legal literacy, and just to explain this, the situational awareness of the prisoners was a few years ago as bad as, only 8% understanding what the purpose of a constitution is, and about 85-88% being unable to cite a single fundamental freedom, your right to a fair trial, right to not be tortured. They couldn't cite a single constitutional right that was provided to them. So it's a real challenge, but one that has really led to great results that we're documenting, and we hope to continue to measure the changes in this baseline as we go forward. Yeah.
Thank you, Haya. Angbin, if you could also talk about how you perceive the system linking back. Thank you.
So, well, ours is thanks. Ours is mostly, again, it's the attitudinal, it's the empowerment with legal literacy, right? So given that a large percentage of population in the jails is coming from a particular socioeconomic background, the idea for us is to work with that socioeconomic background as much as we can, and empower them with knowledge so that they are able to navigate their journey through life, and hopefully not through the criminal justice system. But if they do end up, or even when they're negotiating their jobs, right? Like, when these are some of the things that they do in the street law clinic, they negotiate contracts, they're doing all these things, which is just basically aimed at facilitating them to be more in control of what happens to their lives. We've started to branch out a little bit. We're trying to do a community street law clinic. We've been trying to get into the prisons forever. If anyone here is listening and can get us into the prisons, please get us into the prisons. Prisons are very closed here in Punjab, I'm saying that. But we'd like to speak to the juvenile offenders in prisons. I know that the Legal Aid Society has done that for Sindh. Historically, they did that a couple of years ago. And I think that's very important for us to move as a next step in order to be doing what we're trying to do is get people to be able to live their lives in an empowered and informed fashion. Thanks.
Thank you. This has been an incredibly informative conversation, and I'd really like to thank both Haya and Angbin for this. These are incredibly important initiatives, and these are not the only ones. And both these women are involved in various other initiatives, and there are quite a few other people as well who are doing incredible work in terms of trying to innovate with what we have. It is an incredibly important thing that we, not as lawyers but as citizens, need to constantly think about. I mean, the system is what it is, so how and what can be the most efficient interventions, and how can we participate in making them happen? I hope that everybody enjoyed this conversation as much as I did. I'd really like to thank Haya and Angbin for being here. And Thank you, everyone. Khuda Hafiz.
Thank you. Khuda Hafiz.
आज बहुत सारी हम लोग बातें करेंगे and I am happy to get started with you guys. I hope no one's feeling nervous, right? Everyone's sitting in their own homes. हम लोग अच्छी बातें करेंगे. So let me first tell you a little about myself, okay? My name is Hiba Masood. A lot of people know me as Auntie Hiba. Some people even call me Drama Mama. I do a lot of stuff with kids, with books, with putting on theater shows and productions. And like you, I run my own business. So like you guys, मैं भी जो है अपनी business और अपनी जो है entrepreneurship को अभी तक practice कर रही हूँ. And also something interesting, like you, the first thing that I did for entrepreneurship was when I was very young as well. So I was about 8 or 9 years old and I put on a lemonade stand. So a very typical kind of business, because मैंने जो है इसके बारे में किताबों में पढ़ लिया था कि lemonade stand लगाया जाता है और पैसे कमाए जाते हैं. तो मैंने सोचा मैं भी यही करूँगी. But you guys, mashallah, are doing lots of really interesting and different things. So I'm going to talk to you. मैं थोड़े से सवाल पूछूंगी, थोड़े से हम लोग जो है आपके जवाब सुनेंगे, थोड़े से सवाल जो है entrepreneurship के बारे में होंगे और थोड़े just ऐसे ही random होंगे. Okay, so maybe I'll ask you some random questions. That'll also be fun. Because हम लोगों का program जो है पाकिस्तान में broadcast हो रहा है, हम लोग both English and Urdu में सवाल and जवाब कर सकते हैं. Let's try to keep it a little mixed as much as possible. वैसे कोई मसला नहीं है. Whichever language you are most comfortable in, आप जो है उसमें बोलो. ठीक है? तो सब लोग समझेंगे. So before we got deep into the conversation about entrepreneurship, let's start with Ayla. And now we already know your name, but why don't you introduce yourself? Tell me your name, your age, and what school you go to.
My name is Ayla. I'm 12 years old and I go to KGS.
Okay, nice to meet Ayla, the 12-year-old from Karachi Grammar. And next, girl in the purple shirt. What's your name, age, and school?
My name is Zoreen. I am 10 years old and I go to TNS Beacon House.
Okay, cool. Ali, if you can hear us, आप जवाब दे सकते हो?
अस्सलाम वालेकुम, मेरा नाम अली मुस्तफ़ा सिद्दीकी है और मैं क्लास 6 में हूँ. मैं 12 साल का हूँ और मैं होम स्कूल हूँ.
We will keep our conversation going. Why don't I start with Ayla? I would like to do a little rapid fire about favorite color. Ayla, favorite color, go.
White, because it's really neutral and goes with everything.
Okay, Zoreen, favorite color.
Pink.
Pink. Ayla, favorite food. What would you like to eat?
Ramen, spicy ramen.
Spicy ramen, very interesting. Zoreen, what do you like to eat?
I personally love sushi.
Wow, you guys are like a sophisticated bunch. मुझे तो बस आप French fries और ketchup दे दे, मैं खुश हूँ, but you guys eat like very cool food. And Ayla, what is your favorite way to spend an afternoon? Like if you had an afternoon, could do anything you wanted, what would you do?
My favorite way to spend an afternoon is with music, my dogs, and reading a good book.
Oh, what kind of music do you like?
Songs that are really relaxing and you can do like a lot of things with them.
Acha. And can you tell us your favorite book or any book that you've recently enjoyed? It doesn't have to be your favorite.
A book that I recently read was this book called Ghost Boys, and it was a really good book.
Ah, Ghost Boys. That's on the Drama Mama recommended shelf. I'm happy you've read that. Lots of information about how the world is running for different people. Zohreen, how would you like to spend your afternoon? आपकी दोपहर है, आप कुछ भी कर सकती हो. What would you be doing?
I would probably bake some cookies or brownies or something like that because I love baking.
Mm-hmm. And what is the best thing you bake, in your own opinion?
Cookies. I love cookies.
Chocolate chip?
Yes.
Okay, putting in an order right now. Do you sell chocolate chip cookies? No?
No, I do not.
Okay, Ayla, I would like to know a little about your business, okay? आज हम लोग get together इसलिए कर रहे हैं because we're talking about entrepreneurship. And specifically, we're talking about kidpreneurs, right? That's a new word. It's the combination of kids plus entrepreneurship. उसको join करें तो we get kidpreneurs. Kidpreneurs has become a thing. आजकल के बच्चे जो हैं अपनी businesses खुद खड़ी कर रहे हैं. They are using social media in a very savvy way, and they are figuring out how to connect with customers and sell either goods or services. So the kidpreneurs that we're talking to, I would like to know about your businesses. So Ayla, aap shuru karo. Tell me name of your business, when did it start, and what is it about?
My business is called Perfecto, and it's a collective business with me and my sister. It started around September in 2020, and it's basically a business that makes homemade organic dog treats.
Okay. And what, like, organic dog treats are made out of what? Tell someone like me who knows nothing about dogs. What exactly does that entail? Aap kya khareed rahi ho, kya bana rahi ho?
We make homemade peanut butter, we add lots of fruits and vegetables, and a lot of healthy ingredients because a lot of dog treats are made out of processed food, so we like to use lots of fresh ingredients.
Okay, very fascinating. That's really interesting. And Zohreen, can you introduce your business to us? Aapki business ka naam kya hai? When did you start, and what exactly do you do?
My business's name is Choxy Organic Solutions, and we sell organic skincare products.
Acha. And who is this we when you talk about? Who is we? Like your family?
Me and my mom.
Okay, so you and your mom are selling organic products. And what kind of organic products are these?
Some of which are face serums, under eye serums. We sell face masks, body scrubs, and stuff like that.
Do you make these products yourself, or are you sourcing them from someone?
We make them ourselves.
Acha. And then you package them and you sell them.
Yes, we do.
Is that right? Okay. So, Ayla, coming back to you, can you tell me what made you start? Why a business? Why in 2020? And why dog treats? I want these 3 questions answered, okay?
2020 was already a pretty boring year because of the pandemic, so we were at home and we just wanted something to do. The dog treat business started because it was actually our elder dog's birthday, and we baked her a cake, and we realized it was something that we could use as a business because we were good at it, and it would be really fun to try different recipes.
Right. Okay. And what has that been like? Like, are there a lot of dogs? Like, tell someone, I'm not a pet lover. I don't have a pet. So I want to know, how do you contact dogs? If the dogs are your customers, how are you getting your word out there? What are you doing?
We actually find out about our customers on Instagram, and there's actually a lot of people in Karachi who are pet owners, but there aren't that many homemade dog sources that make good food for dogs other than processed food, which isn't the best and most healthy. So we have a lot of people and clients who order dog treats and birthday cakes for their dogs.
Ah, interesting. Okay. And how did you connect with these communities, like these pet communities? How do you find someone who has a dog or a pet?
We are pet owners, so in the beginning, we got in with the crowd of all the people who we knew who were asking about food for their pets, and then they shared it with their friends, and those friends shared it with their friends, and it started becoming bigger.
So word of mouth has kind of spread your business. Okay, very interesting. Zohreen, same question for you. Why did you start a business? Why in 2020, and why organics? Organic skincare.
So basically, due to the lockdown, I had a lot of time on my hands, and I started looking at these skincare videos, and I got really inspired by them. So I started making them at home. Then my dad also told me about entrepreneurship. I really liked that, and I wanted to start a business on my own. And then my mom helped me make it a little more professional. We designed our labels ourselves, and we got our recipes, some of which are old family recipes actually, and we made them, and that's how it started. And we also consulted a certified hakim.
Sorry? What was the last bit you said?
We also consulted a certified herbalist.
Ah, okay. So you got an expert on board as well to kind of give you some more advice. Okay, cool. So I would like to know what a typical day in your business looks like. Zohreen, why don't you just continue right now? Describe me a good day. Let's start with a good day. What is the best day in your business, and what would it look like from morning until you turn the key and close your office? How does that go?
So Firstly, we look at our orders. We even have a website. So sometimes you get orders over there, sometimes you get orders on DM, and then we start making our things there, and then we package them, we label them, and yeah, and then we send them to the courier company. They deliver them to people, and this takes about like from morning till evening, and then we just relax.
Okay. All right. All right. So you take in the orders through the internet, look at the orders, create the product, package it, and send it off. And where do you, what about the whole sourcing, the back end? Where are you sourcing all your materials from? Where are all the ingredients coming? Where are the packages coming? Who handles that part of the business? And what exactly is that part of the business?
My mom actually handles the delivery part of the business and where the things come from, but all of our materials, they come from all over Pakistan. Like our face serum actually has apricot oil in it, which is all the way from Gilgit Baltistan, and we get our things all the way from all over Pakistan.
Very interesting. And Isla, what about you? Can you describe to me a good day in your business? How is it going from start to by the time the customer gets that product in their hands?
A good day in our business, we want to first check our orders and then we prepare the orders. And when it's good, we usually sometimes we make mistakes because we're baking and we have to rebake and refresh batter, so that becomes a little difficult sometimes. But mainly, a good day is when everything goes on according to plan. People pick up their orders on time, and then they send us pictures of their dogs enjoying the treats, and we share them.
Nice, nice. So you also run your presence on Instagram, is that right? Have both of you used Instagram a lot as your primary source of connecting with your customers? Acha, what about the complete opposite? Ayla touched upon that. कि कभी कभार बैटर खराब हो जाता है. Tell me a bad day in your business. What is that bad day looking like? How are you feeling? And what is going wrong?
The worst a day could be in our business is one where the baking becomes a little difficult. Like we have a cake disaster, the cake collapses, the frosting goes wrong, and sometimes the people here to pick up come a little late, and then they forget to send us pictures of their dogs. That's the worst a day could be for us. But
So you've not done delivery, right? So you've kept it on pickup only. And लोगों के time बताते हैं आपके like 5 बजे आपको pick up करना है, something like that. What if you've had a disaster like at 4:30? What are you doing then?
Then you have to really rush things. We've only been in that situation once, but we were really nervous throughout that situation. But we
Can you
did.
describe it to me a little bit more? Can you tell me a little bit more what happened in that situation?
So we were baking a cake, and as soon as it came out of the oven, it was pretty thin. So while we were trying to frost it, it just broke into two. And it was really difficult. We had to use a lot of things. We had to rebake in really quick time.
Yeah.
But we eventually finished it, and we were really proud that we managed to do that.
Very good. What about you, Zohreen? Have you had a bad day or a bad experience? And what does that bad experience look like for you?
Sometimes a bad experience is people canceling their orders because we worked really hard on them, and sometimes some of the things we make, they also sometimes go wrong, and like it takes us a day to make them all over again. So that would look like a really bad day in our business.
आपके जो हैं good days and bad days दोनों experience generally हुए हुए हैं, right? But more good days than bad days?
Yes.
Or about the same? More good days? Yes.
More good days.
So it's something you're enjoying, आप लोगों को मजा आ रहा है, आप ये काम कर रहे हैं. So what is the future looking like? Is this something you're doing forever? Is this just one step कि नहीं आगे कुछ और try करेंगे? Or is this something that बस lockdown में कर रहे हैं उसके बाद कोई इरादा नहीं है? What is the plan here? Ayla?
I think that we actually plan on expanding our business more and introducing food for all pets, because we've had a lot of demands for food for cats. So we plan on making more cat food and trying a lot of other recipes. We plan on going over to delivery and becoming bigger and like marketing our treats more. And other than that, I also plan on making other products, not just dog related, but I really like selling things, making things. So I really want to do more of that.
Who is doing this business? Because I mean, you seem like, I don't know, I feel like an old lady. You seem like such little girls. आप लोग किस तरह ये सब खुद कर रहे होते हो? Don't you guys have school and things like that? So how are you managing this business?
So actually, my sister and I do run mainly. My mom does order any supplies that we need, but my sister and I are the ones who come up with the ideas and who manage our account and communicate with clients.
Yeah.
So we do that ourselves, and we're the ones who brainstorm for the new ideas, the recipes. We develop them ourselves.
Do you tell people, hey, I'm only 12? Or is that it's irrelevant? It doesn't matter.
We do actually mention that because we actually are really like proud of what we do.
Yeah.
So people knowing that.
Very good. Zohreen, aap batao, like the hope for the future. Like, you know, aapne ye start kar liya hai, 2020, the lockdown forced you to start, but what's the long-term goal here? Aap kab tak karna hai, kyun karna hai, aur aage kuch aur bhi karna hai? What interests you aage?
I would like to, we're thinking about expanding my business, and we're thinking about introducing shampoos and body butters and stuff like that.
What is your exact input if you were telling me what you've been up to?
I make these things with my mom, but some of the things that I can make myself are probably some of the face masks and some of the lip scrubs.
Acha, mujhe ab Ayla, I want to come back to you, and I want you to talk to me about things that have really been challenging for you, right? Like, not, you've described to me a typical bad day, but what gets you down? What do you feel ki yaar ye kya hai? What is this? I'm not feeling good about this entrepreneurship thing. Like, what is that?
It's usually because there's a really difficult balance between school, because I'm in the 7th grade now and there's a little more work now. So it's really
Yeah.
difficult to manage it, and orders, we have to take them more later. And
Yeah.
it becomes a little frustrating because then we have to work later when we'd like to relax at that time. So
Yeah.
that gets really annoying.
Have you ever had bad customer dealing?
Not
Yeah.
really. Most of our customers are usually really sweet and they always send in a good review of our treats.
Yeah.
A few times they do forget to send in a picture, but
Uh-huh.
other than that, usually our customers are usually really sweet.
And what about you, Zohreen? Have you ever had a bad experience with a customer?
Yes, some of the most frustrating things that people do is return orders when we work really hard on them, as I've mentioned before. And but other than that, people are really nice to us.
Mm-hmm. And if you guys are in entrepreneurship and this is something that all bache are interested in, can I hear one tip? Let's take one tip at a time because I would like to discuss it as well. Give me one recommendation or one tip you would give to a kid your age thinking about starting a business. Don't give me more than one because I am going to discuss your second tip. So what's your first tip that you would give? Ayla or Zohreen? Who wants to go first? Whoever can thumbs up first. Okay, Zohreen, you go first. What's your one tip?
My tip would be like do something that you love and you're willing to do.
Mm-hmm. And what if something you love doing actually doesn't have a business behind it, but you do want to get into business? Like, I love reading. What would you suggest over there?
Like, if you love reading, maybe you could write stories, because like every hobby, you can make something out of it. Like if something interests you, you can always make that bigger. And
Okay. Ayla, what about you? What would be one tip that you would give to people who are thinking about starting a business?
I think that they should go for it, and that if they ever feel like it's difficult, they have to remind themselves that they're only a kid, and a lot of adults who have businesses and they're doing pretty good as a child, as a kidpreneurship.
Yeah. And so moving right along. Okay, tell me this. What would you warn your friends? Like, you're going into business, but I'm warning you about be careful or think about or, don't forget to consider this. What would that be? Yes, Ayla.
I would warn them that there's gonna be ups and downs in their business where it gets really difficult to manage things, but they should just keep going through it because it might be difficult, but you shouldn't give up.
Okay, and Zohreen, did you want to add something?
yeah, I would warn them because there's a lot of work and you have to organize your day. I would warn them of that.
Or what about things like would you tell them how to manage other people? Would you have any tip on logon ko kis tarah?
Yes, sometimes people bargain a lot, and I would be aware of those people.
Sorry, बेटा आपकी आवाज कट रही है जरा सा फिर से बोलना.
Sometimes people bargain a lot, and I would warn them of those people.
Okay, so figure out how to handle customers that want to bargain. And what about you, Isla? Any warning, any sort of word of advice that you would definitely give someone?
Probably that. Yeah, it's a lot of hard work.
It's a lot of hard work. And you were just mentioning how school and balancing school and entrepreneurship has been a bit of a challenge for you as you growing older, right? तो फिर आप जो है जब इसको expand कर रही हैं, are you planning to maybe hire more people so you become like the manager? Is that something in your vision?
No, not really. I like doing it as an independent. Even now, when we do have like an upcoming exam or a test, we do usually take more few orders. But we like doing the things ourselves as
Yeah.
like a team, so it's more fun like that.
Do you feel business has, running a business, has it helped you in any way? How would you say you are a different person from before having a business and now after running your own business? Zohreen, do you want to go first? How has running a business changed you, grown you? Sure, Zohreen, go ahead.
It definitely made me more responsible because I learned how to organize work between my school and my business.
Okay. And what about you, Isla?
My business has helped me become more responsible and also productive.
Mm-hmm. Do we, when you guys say it has made me more responsible, is this something you yourselves feel, or like your parents have said, yo, beta, aap bahut zyada responsible ho rahi ho, that's very good? What do you feel? Like you feel you're in yourselves that you guys are more, better at managing time and things like that? Okay,
So I feel myself that I have been more responsible, and also my parents think that.
Okay, all right.
Same.
And would you say that you have to have a business, because both of you have come up with, almost unique items, especially I would say Isla, dog treats and pet treats is quite unique. Do you think a successful business may unique hona zaruri hai? What are your thoughts on that? Yes, Isla, do you think anyone else also needs to have a unique business?
I think if the more unique it's more interesting, it's more of an original idea, something that is not already there, so it will get more attention. But I
Yeah.
think people should be able to make a business of whatever they love doing.
And what about you, Zohreen? You are not unique in the sense that there are competitors, right? So why don't we talk about competition for you? Okay, what do you feel about competition? What's your advice to other kidpreneurs who are saying, "Oh, मैं ये काम क्यों करूँ? इसमें तो और लोग already कर रहे हैं." What's your thoughts on competition?
I think that you shouldn't really care if other people are doing it as long as you like doing it, and if you are making good quality things, then I think it's perfectly fine. Even if other people are doing it, it's perfectly fine.
Awesome. All right. So from what I'm understanding is that your passion drives the business, not ke aap ek wahid hain us pure business mein, right? And so that's something really important for the other kids to learn, that they don't need to actually come up with something that no one else has ever done before. Like Isla said, obviously it helps. It definitely helps to be the only player in the market. But it's also, like Zohreen said, okay to have other players as long as you're driving it with passion and things like that. So a child, not a child, but any kid, any friend, any buddy of yours is looking to start a business and they want to come to you for help. Okay? आपने advice दे दिए, आपने tips दे दिए. अब मुझे आप लोग बताओ कि आपका area of expertise क्या है? If you were to go out and become a business consultant, right? What are you best at when it comes to your business? Is it the actual making of the product, or do you feel मैं customer dealing बहुत अच्छी करती हूँ, मैं money management अच्छी कर लेती हूँ, मैं अपनी lists और organization अच्छी कर लेती हूँ, advertising में अच्छी करती हूँ? Like, what would you say is your skill set personally? Zohreen.
I think probably making the products, because that's fun and I'm really good at that. and it would also be like doing the packaging because we were really fancy.
So you have good packaging, you feel? So that's something advice you can give to other people?
Yes.
मैं आपकी business की packaging अच्छी कर सकती हूँ. Okay. And what about Ayla? What about you?
I think I'm pretty good. My sister actually does the more of the baking, but I think I'm better at interacting with the customers and marketing for the business.
Marketing. आप लोग मुझे अपनी marketing strategies थोड़ी सी बता सकते हो? Do you post daily? Do you post weekly? Do you actively pursue customers, or you just wait for customers to come? Ayla, आप थोड़ा सा बताओगी marketing के बारे में?
We usually I do post really often. We post, I think, almost daily, and we also do a lot of interactive polls and quiz games for our customers to play, as well as we post facts. And
Yeah.
we also try to make it more interactive by making each order really personalized. Like we make a personalized note for each of our customers, and for something a little bit about them, about their dog, and give them a compliment.
That's really nice. That's very good. Have you thought about ever organizing a doggy event, catering a whole dog party or something like that?
We have catered for a few dog parties. There's this individual rescuer called Sarah JK. We catered for a party there, and we got a really big order for that, and it's really fun. But we do plan on hosting a lot of doggy events. Obviously, like in the future, those are all other things that we're looking forward to.
Yeah, that sounds really interesting. Yeah, after like COVID dies down a little, definitely hosting gatherings and stuff like that. What about you, Zohreen? Same questions. Ali is also typing in. So let's come on to heroes and people that you guys are fans of. Have you got any entrepreneurs that you consider heroes? Or if they're not entrepreneurs, like मैं आपसे पूछूं कोई भी आप famous person है तो किससे मिलना चाहेंगे? तो who is that? Who would you like to meet? Who would you like to have a discussion about business with? Ayla.
I need to think about.
I don't know if there's anyone. It doesn't have to be in the pet world. Why don't you just tell me someone famous? It can be anyone, like any singer. You said you like music, you like books, so maybe any author. Is there anyone that you are interested in meeting? Ever?
I like a lot of different personalities. For a singer, I would love to meet Billie Eilish.
Okay.
I would also love to meet Billie Eilish.
So both of you would like to meet her. All right, interesting. And do you have a vision for what does an entrepreneur look like? What is a successful entrepreneur? Is there anyone that you personally can think of? This is the idea of a personal entrepreneur hero? Or if not, then आप मुझे बताओ कि what do you see yourself as a future? So who is 29-year-old Ayla? Who is 29-year-old Zohreen? Look, hop 20 years into the future. Zohreen, आप क्या कर रही हो 20 years in the future? This will be our last question, then we're going to wrap up.
Hopefully, I would still continue my business and it would be a little more bigger and more successful.
How big? You are Pakistan-wide or Asia-wide or worldwide shipping?
Worldwide probably, and it would have like branches all over the world, hopefully.
Inshallah, why not? And Ayla, what's your future looking like? Your best future that you can dream of for your business and yourself?
Does it need to be related to like what my business is right now?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. It's just you as a successful adult.
I would like to do something for like human and animal rights, especially animal rights, because they're more needed and animal protection laws more needed in Pakistan.
Inshallah, why not? And there you have it, girls. This was a really nice little half an hour that we spent with you. I enjoyed talking to you because I wanted to hear that, what makes girls like you or what makes kids like Ali and everyone else who is listening, entrepreneurship कि पीछे क्या passion होता है. And just speaking to both of you, I can see that you guys are so sorted mentally. Like you're more sensible than I was, right, at your age. And आप लोगों के अंदर बहुत अच्छी articulation भी, and I really hope that you guys continue. I would love to, if I had a pet, I would love to place order to Ayla, but I will be recommending Ayla's business and inshallah Zohreen's as well. So best of luck for your futures, best of luck for your business. Thank you so much for being part of this panel and of Wow Festival as well. Okay, girls. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.